I haven't had a drink in I don't know how long. I think since last month. This is the second month I haven't been drinking in almost a month. I'm so proud of myself. And I'm not even really counting days anymore. That's how you know you're growing. I might do a video on that because I am going to break my sobriety. I don't feel bad. I'm just not addicted to it or using it, you know, for emotional reasons. So yeah, Fridays is upstairs. I should look at the menu. 28 soles, or you get 2 for 38 soles. 38 soles is about $11, I think. Let's see what they have. Those tacos look good. Ooh. I'm starving, you guys. I've been trying to get away from eating American food, but let's see. Hello. I'm just looking. I just realized I just broke my sobriety. I don't feel bad because, like I was saying earlier, I'm not addicted to it, and it's been like 2 months back to back almost, I believe, that I haven't even really been drinking for almost a whole month or more than a month each month. I have a different relationship with it now. I'm not dependent on it emotionally, you know. I'll share my thoughts on my journey of, I guess, alcoholism. It's a beautiful city, right? Oh my God. This is really like Budva, Montenegro. I love it. Beautiful, beautiful. Sometimes the things you get to do in life makes it feel worth living. Like my drink. I didn't even really read what was in it. Why do they always do a sniff test on cups? That always just like throws me off. Yes, thank you. Thank you. A quick photo with my favorite plants. Thank you. Cheers to Peru. This drink grew on me. It's nice and strong. The one I had last night from somewhere else, it did nothing for me. So, it's time to sit down and have a little talk. So, I found myself emotional early in the morning, unexpectedly, after drinking, and I'm about to go to the store and get 2 more cans. It's so crazy how easily it is to fall into a trap, because I had been doing so well, hadn't been drinking at all, hadn't had the desire or the emotions that kind of cause you to want to drink. And I just was like, oh, I'll just casually have a drink on vacation. And then, oh, the feeling popped in. I'm so happy, I'm so giddy, I'm so positive, and then come crashing down. And then it's just sitting there in the morning, and I'm like, I'm bored. I'll just sip at 8:55 in the morning. And now I'm emotional. And I'm feeling dependent on it. And thinking about doing other things because the thoughts that came in after I started drinking is like a downer. And I know alcohol is like a downer. But if you're already in like a positive state of mind,
you wouldn't expect it to like be a negative experience. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just rambling and sharing my thoughts, but it's just like I didn't even expect to vlog right now. I was supposed to vlog last night about this, but I didn't feel like it. But here I am. And so, I was supposed to share my thoughts about drinking and my journey with drinking and maybe alcoholism. You know, I don't think my body needed it to the point of where I couldn't function without it. Maybe like mentally and emotionally, it was hard for me to not, use that as a coping mechanism. But my body didn't need it. And I wasn't like waking up drinking. It would be like, oh, I had a long day, finally home. I'm going to drink some wine and whatever else I wanted to indulge in. And, I had stopped all of that. Like, once you get to a point where you're like clearing out negativity from your life and you're focused more on where you want to go in life and being more positive and healthy in every way imaginable. You love me. Yes, I do. But so many thoughts in my mind, back and forth, back and forth. But where was I going with this? ADD. I know it's now, people call it ADHD, but back in my day, it was ADD, attention deficit disorder. This wasn't even supposed to be a part of this video. But anyway, let me regroup and see where I was going with this, my train of thought. I don't know where I was going with this exactly, but I do know that, I was thinking that when you are in a bad place mentally and you're struggling to cope with your thoughts and your feelings and emotions, sometimes, you may use things like alcohol to cope with whatever you're going through, mentally. And getting out of that and getting to a more healthier place and, not needing those things. And then you casually just do it on vacation because you can and you feel like you are in a healthier place with it and it's not a bad thing anymore. And then all of these feelings come rushing back in. It's like when you're in a negative space, you use those things to cope with the emotions and kind of like take you away from whatever you were feeling. And, you can focus on the feeling that you have that alcohol gives you and whatever else. But then it's like once you get to a healthy place and you're no longer dependent on it, you're no longer counting your days like, oh, I made this much progress. Like it just comes natural and you're not drinking, you're not needing that. It's a good feeling to make that progress. And then you just casually start drinking and then you get that feeling like, oh, this rush. And it started making me think positive and I'm like, oh, I like this. And I was already in a positive place, but like it was heightened, once I started drinking on this trip. And then it was like 2 days later, I guess the difference between being in a bad emotional space and drinking and it helps you cope with, those feelings and like take you away from it versus feeling healthy mentally and emotionally on your own without it, and then you use it, and it gives you a nice little feeling, and you're thinking positive and whatever. And then I guess it's like, they say alcohol is like a downer, and I know it does relaxes you, but like this is just different compared to like being in a bad space, using it to cope with, those negative emotions and using the feeling to help you, get away from those negative emotions versus, thinking you're in a healthy place with it and don't need it emotionally to cope. And you're just, casually doing it, kind of like socially, but, you're by yourself, but, kind of like a social a social thing to do when you go out, even though, I was by myself. And it's like, you think you're in this healthy place and don't need it, and then you use it, and then you like the feeling that it gives you, and then you come crashing down, and you really see how much of a downer it is. And it's like, even though it like, a couple days after me drinking on this vacation, I didn't even think I would be doing this morning. I was supposed to do this vlog last night, but here I am. It's pressing. So to be in a healthy space and not needing it to, cope with whatever emotions you're dealing with, because, your emotions are fine. So you think on your own, and, you're just casually drinking. And like I said, it was, a nice little feeling. It was fun, positive, uplifting, thoughts or whatever that it gave me, the first couple of days I was drinking. And then now I'm drinking in the morning. And I normally don't do that. Like I had before, but it wasn't like an everyday thing. But like the can was sitting there, just like, oh, I'm bored, I'm drinking. And it's like, it's been bringing me down and making me think about all the old feelings, all the old feelings that I used to have, and I would drink to cope with it. And then getting at a point where, I was fine emotionally, mentally, spiritually, however, and didn't need to depend on it. And now I just do it casually. And that was like a downer. And now I feel like I need it. And now I feel like I need more things to cope with the negative emotions that came with drinking. It's just so crazy. It's like a trap. And like I have, plans on this trip that I wanted to do. And like this whole trip is like basically last minute. It was like a frantic trip. I didn't want to be in the US during certain times. And, my mother's passing date is coming up this weekend. And so I just didn't want to be in the US. And here I am. And, trying to, well, not trying to, but indulging a bit, in drinking. And a second last minute trip, I decided I'm leaving early from here, going to another city. And I have so many thoughts about that. Like, I feel like they're overcharging me because I kind of got a free trip. Well, I got a free trip, a free flight, and it really wasn't my fault, but I wound up getting a free flight. And I feel like they're overcharging me now to like make up for it. It's just so weird. Like, you'll see like flights, and this isn't even really related to my drinking, but it's my thought process right now. And so I feel like I can go on a whole other tangent about this, but I don't know. I just feel like people are like conspiring against me for some reason. And it really messes with me psychologically. But anyway, so I feel like, my second last minute trip on this country isn't going to work out. So I'm trying to mentally prepare to like make the best of it. Whatever I can accomplish on, this second portion of this trip, I will. But it's like being in a country that's kind of like known for certain things, and drinking is like kind of putting you back into like a negative space. I hope my finger wasn't over the microphone the whole time. But like drinking is putting me in like a negative headspace, and I have a lot of things to deal with when I get back, and I'm already thinking about the things I can indulge in because the alcohol is like kind of making me down and thinking negatively. And so because this second portion of my trip that I planned also last minute, it might not work out, and I'm trying to think, positive, or think, whatever I can do to make this trip, enjoyable for my mother's passing date. I'm like open to it. But because this country is kind of like known for a certain experience, I'm thinking about indulging in that as well. So it's like, alcohol is like a gate. And I was supposed to be talking about my journey with alcoholism. I'm tired of holding this phone. Sitting my phone up on the alcohol can. Anyway. Dang, I lost my train of thought. Oh, I was supposed to be talking about my journey with alcoholism. I grew up around like drugs and alcohol. Not like too bad, but it was around. And I hated the idea of people using those things to like have fun or whatever. I don't know why. I just did. And I never wanted to indulge in those type of things. And I just hated it. And so I was like 19 years old, and my friend, she had like a bottle of Smirnoff in the refrigerator, and she was about to drink. Me trying to control the things around me. I didn't want her to drink. How can you hate something so much and indulge in it because you don't want somebody else to do it? That's a story for a different day. Anyway, so I didn't want her to drink it. So I just took the bottle out the refrigerator, opened it, and drank it straight to the head without stopping, without taking a breath. Set it down. Empty bottle. I think that was my first drink. Well, besides when my aunt used to let us drink wine coolers out of her 7-Eleven Slurpee cup. But she was so perfect. Anyway, who knows if she'll ever see this video. I don't care. I don't really deal with my family anyway. So, I drank the bottle of Smirnoff, whole bottle, without even, taking a breath, coming up for air. And eventually, like, this feeling came over me, and I'm like, ooh, what is this? And I started liking a feeling that I had, that it gave me. And my friend, she was cracking up at me. For somebody who doesn't drink at all, don't like the idea of drinking, don't like the idea of people drinking and doing drugs or whatever, you just hate it so much. And then you just drink it because you didn't want somebody else to drink it. And then to see that person experience their first drink and then they like the feeling, like, ooh. And like ever since then, from then on, like it like took the edge off. I was always like socially, nervous, being around people and stuff like that. Awkward socially, uncomfortable in social situations, and uneasy, timid, whatever you want to call it. No confidence in social situations. And ever since then, I started getting my own drinks, and I was chasing the feeling. And then it was like, I just seen 1, 2, 3, 11:23 on my timer. But anyway, so I started chasing the feeling of what that gave me. And it put me in so many bad situations. Like, two of the most worst situations I can think of is I got a DUI. Like, I was going through a breakup, and I had just went and got my ex from the police station like 2 weeks prior, and wound up at the same police station 2 weeks later. Luckily, they didn't like arrest me because I like had some like emotional crazy issues going on. It's like so messed up that you can be there for somebody and then they not be there for you in the same location. They cannot be there for you 2 weeks later and you was just there for them. So I had like a lot of like emotional, psychological things going on, and I used alcohol to cope with those things. And I was going through a breakup, and I went out that night, got dressed up all cute, got drunk, and wound up crashing into a car, or maybe more, I don't know. And it's so crazy, I drove past there like a couple months ago. But anyway, just to not have somebody be there for you when you were just there for them for the same exact reason, and they not be there for you, along with so many other things. And then, I used to drink so much before I would go out. It's like I had to get drunk before I would go out because I needed to feel comfortable to be in social situations. And so I would make sure I was drunk before I went out. While I'm drinking, I'm just drinking. And another situation just popped into my head. I think that was like 2014. I was in Costa Rica, and I drank 7 and they found me passed out in the bathroom, had to use a credit card to open up the door. They, trying to pull up my clothes. It's just, you think about people in certain situations, and people you don't even know or aren't the closest to, they're the ones who help you out in situations. This one girl who I met on the group trip, she was the one who pulled my clothes up and helped me out of the bathroom. Wow. And I made everybody miss the shuttle bus. Luckily, we had another bus. Anyway, so another situation that I had initially thought about was, I got into a fight and they were banking me when I was in DC because I tripped over this girl's shoe. I don't even want to get into that. Ugh, that was a mess. But yeah, so I had like some bad situations from drinking. In my early 20s, I was drinking a lot. Like I said, 7 back to back to back. Just trying to make sure I feel comfortable, being in a social situation. And I had fun that night, but you see how it winded up. My journey has been crazy. And it's just like, you'll think you're fine with the situation and finally got to the best of dealing with that situation. And it's like, oh, I'll casually do it. And now you're kind of like feeling like you're even worse than before and wanting to indulge in even other things, even worse than or stronger than what you had been indulging in before. But people have their different thoughts on, using plant medicine and stuff like that. But I don't know. Life is a journey, and a journey of lessons, and a journey of growing in so many ways. I didn't expect to talk about this because it was kind of like supposed to go on another video, but so this is where I am in my journey. I'm going to try to get back on a good path because it can be easy to be tempted and fall into the trap of the things of life. But I don't know. I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm not perfect in any way. I'm just trying to grow, and be on a better path than I was whenever before here. So best wishes to anybody else out there struggling with these types of things. Yeah, love and light. So if you made it this far, I thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.